Good evening, sports ball fans. Welcome once again to One on One with these two assholes. Tonight, this episode will be filled with anger, racial tension, and
between who?
Possibly a feeding frenzy. Please, gentlemen, begin.
All right, well, none of that's happening. Welcome to One on One with Glen and Brent. I'm Brent.
I'm Glen.
And we are here at the beginning of the most wonderful time of the year. March Madness is here upon us, Glen.
Yes, it's bracket time, it's picking time, it's knowing things in a smart way times.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you're a amateur bracketologist like me, you were completely incorrect about where the seeds were going to come this year. I felt that Louisville was a 4 seed for a long time now, but I felt going into this, since we dropped the first game of the ACC tournament, and then Virginia failed. They lost. They failed to make the championship game. They would come to the 2 line. I expected us to be a 5, by which I mean I then expected NCAA to give us a 6 or lower, because they tend to not seed us very well unless we are the number 1 overall seed.
I think part of our issue was that we had forgotten that we're now in the ACC, where you're lifted by teams you play.
A rising tide raises all boats.
That's true. I've been in some boats.
Don't cover your mouth.
Oh, you can. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So precisely so. So we, for the first time I can ever recall, ended up getting a seed that people felt we were overseeded for once. We actually got a 4. There are some people who feel that we are overseeded, that we are not deserving of that. But Glenn calls BS on that.
Well, for a variety of reasons. The teams below us, when you start to look at the 5 seeds, their resumes are not as strong as ours. People forget that we beat Virginia and North Carolina, and our losses.
We beat Virginia once, and we beat North Carolina once after they beat us twice. But still, your point stands.
Right. We beat some really good teams last year, too. So,
yeah.
So anyway...
well, and then my feeling also, we did sweep the Big Ten and the teams that we played from the Big Ten. And if you are one of these people who think the Big Ten is the be-all, end-all, we had wins over Ohio State, Minnesota, and Indiana. So, I mean, those are... if you do value the Big Ten, maybe that gives a little bump as well.
And there is a meter out there called the heart meter, and I think that the U of L basketball team scores very high on that meter. We have a lot of heart that doesn't go into the data sets that they come out with all these times.
I think he made that up. I've not heard of the heart meter, but so I will say. 4 seed, we really can't complain at all. We got a good draw. We have a good seed in arguably the softest region, with the softest number 1 seed in Villanova. Do you think that's true? That's what everyone's saying. Do you think Villanova is as soft as people say they are, just because they're coming out of a weak Big East?
You have to say it this way. No one has seen Villanova all year, but they just assume that Villanova is not very good because they're in a conference that is not heralded.
And you also assume that because they are Villanova and it's Jay Wright, they will choke, because that's what they do.
The name Villanova means new city, which sounds very generic. But a team like Kentucky, that is Native American for...
Kentucky.
Right. That means Grand River. So people hear that and they think, wow, that must mean something special for the college basketball season. But really, there's no connection there. There's no real meaning there. So
right.
People need to look at Villanova and think...
New city,
new times, new horizons.
But...
no river.
But I don't really know what the point you made there was. So, moving on from there. Right now, I think Vegas has us pegged to finish 6th in our region. Although we are seeded as a 4, we are not getting any love at all as far from the pundits and everyone as far as making any kind of run. I have a pretty optimistic view of where we might end up. What do you see coming up? We have our first game, of course, UC Irvine on Friday.
The criticisms against U of L by the many critics, I really think it's an outrage. People picking the upset there in the first round is an
Yeah.
absolute ridiculous thing that I will never come to grips with. We're going to win that game by 25, and people are going to say, hey, Louisville's here to stay, and they'll be right. And then the next round, we'll put in a good showing. I feel confident that we'll win against Northern Iowa. It's not Iowa.
That's Northern Iowa.
It's Northern Iowa.
There are a lot of Iowa teams this year.
Northern Iowa is not the team to fear. So we'll head on and we'll bring up the prestige, and there'll be a lot of hope in the city and a lot of fanfare.
Well, I'll say this. People do have the first round pick as an upset. I agree. I do know, a 4 versus a 13 could be dangerous. The last time we had a 4 versus a 13 where we were a 9-point favorite, that was the game we lost to Moorhead. But of course, that was a different thing.
That team didn't have 2 NBA players.
I was going to say, and this team does not have Kenneth Fareed on it.
Right.
Oh, the cats are coming downstairs, apparently. So, moving on.
Speaking of the Cats, they're the number 1 seed. Are they going to do that thing that people say they're going to do?
Wait, I'm not done talking about Louisville first.
No, speaking of the Cats.
All right, now we're back. Okay, so...
And we're back.
So, the thing about it this year, if you'd asked me 2 weeks ago what our ceiling was, I would have said probably get out of the first weekend, and then that might be it for us, maybe Sweet 16. As it stacks up, though, we have a potential path to the Final Four. Now, I know that is overreaching, and a lot of people will say that's complete BS, but I'm not really scared of Nova. I'm not necessarily scared of Northern Iowa. Maybe more scared of Northern Iowa than I am of Villanova. If we do end up coming up against Virginia at some point, that's a team we know we can beat. And Virginia, as much as I respect them in the year that they had, are not really the same team as they were before injury problems.
Me, personally, I don't respect any other teams but my own. But that being said, we're going to win all the games.
Up through the championship, then.
And I prefer to refer to Nova as Villa.
It's a new city. Right. It's one of those things where I can't guarantee you a Final Four, and I could easily see the team peaking in the Sweet 16. Let's have a realistic view of the things. Sweet 16 could be the ceiling. But again, the path is there. If we play as well as we can play with the teams that we could potentially match up with, I think a Final Four berth is possible. Not saying it's going to happen, but I do think it's possible. And that's something I would not have said a month ago, maybe.
Yeah, I remember what you used to say a month ago, and it wasn't right. But now what you're saying has a little more depth behind it, a little more, what would you call it, spunk?
No, I would prefer not to say that word. Okay, so moving on, bring back your point now about the Cats. The Wildcats, they are the elephant in the room. Are they going to go undefeated?
And by that, he means they're Republicans.
Is there any way possible the UK is going to lose? Now, on the one hand, it hasn't happened for 30 years now. It is practically impossible, a feat to pull off. But they've done the hard part already. At this point, you don't want to just advance chalk and say, well, UK obviously is going to win the whole thing. But when you look realistically at who they're drawing, you advance, you look at the bracket, who's going to possibly present a threat to UK? I could see a couple of close games, but I don't see who's going to stop them.
When you look down the line, you think of threats. You think if West Virginia plays their style to perfection, that would give Kentucky problems. If Wisconsin's big guys go out and shoot threes, that would cause problems. Mm-hmm. But when you ask me, will those teams actually do it, it's hard for me to see it.
It's hard to see, yeah.
UK has stacked the deck with recruiting. They've won college basketball because they've done exactly what you need to do. Get a bunch of...
They've bought all the best players.
Get all the best players. Make sure they're humble enough to play the right way. Pay them in the ways they pay them under the table. Juice them up with the drugs that have been going into Lexington.
So this we're confirming they are paid under the table and they are on drugs.
It's called HGH, and that's what it's there. Being someone from Louisville, I've seen it go in through the channels.
Yeah, in all seriousness, I have my feelings about John Calipari aside. You have to respect what the kids are doing there. It is pretty amazing, the squad. I know.
I don't respect it. I just understand that it's happening.
Yeah, I don't like it, but I do respect it. So, that being said, Final Four picks.
My Final Four picks. Kentucky, Wisconsin, Duke, and the University of Louisville.
All right, fair enough. And mine, fairly similar. The University of Kentucky. I have a heart bracket and a gut bracket. I go split between Arizona and Wisconsin. I'm going to give it to Wisconsin, though, because I kind of want it for them. I feel like, every year they come out, and it's like, this is going to be Wisconsin's year, and it just isn't. This year, I hope they make that run.
I don't want anything for them, but go on.
UK, Wisconsin, Iowa State, pulling off the game against Duke, and in my heart bracket, the University of Louisville.
Heart bracket.
But gut bracket, it could be Virginia. Or Northern Iowa, even. I don't think it'll be Villanova, though, because screw them. So, your national champion. Is it even worth picking anyone that is not UK at this point?
If you pick anyone else, and I said this to you earlier, before the cameras turned on, you're overthinking it.
Yeah.
Those other things could possibly happen, but reason tells you those things will not happen.
It's hard to stare it in the face and say at the end of the day, I don't see who could beat them at this point. I don't like it, but it seems to be the way things are. I will cheer if it turns out that they don't win. But
let's put it this way. UK has players that would start for U of L that never actually play for UK. Like Derek Willis would be our starting center.
Oh, it hurts. Okay, well, that's our preview. I think we have a good path ahead. If we play the best of our ability, we have a good, strong tournament ahead of us, hoping for the best. We've made our predictions. Anything else we could say before we move on to our next segment?
Let's have a good, clean year and enjoy our basketball with camaraderie and love and reason. Let's not burn couches. Let's not do anything else but enjoy it. Yeah,
let's not burn our home city, if that would be Lexington, to the ground. All right, so moving on to our very extremely popular segment, the ESPN College Basketball Encyclopedia Glen Reed Challenge, where we rifle through the pages at random, pick a team, and then Glen tells us everything he knows about that team in, I don't know, let's say 15 seconds, because we don't have all the time in the world.
Yeah, we've run over because I think I'm acting different today because I have to talk real loud.
And I swear to God, this is completely random. What can you tell us about Robert Morris? Anything happened in the last couple of years that might have been interesting to viewers of the show? I promise it was completely random. Robert Morris.
Robert Morris. In the last few years, they've been making the tournament because they're winning their conference tournament. It's the Robert Morris Colonels. Famous players that you might know, but you really have to know the NBA to know. You've got your Kareem Rush. Your Thomas Robinson. There's Sal Mineo.
Okay, now I know you're lying.
And some of the
At first I wasn't sure, but now I know.
Some of them are in the D League, but others are making good contributions to teams such as Toronto Raptors, Minnesota Raptors.
Okay, again, I don't think you're telling the truth. Now, the fact that I think most people would like to point out is that Robert Morris beat UK in the opening round of the NIT in the year that Louisville won the national championship.
Yes.
So Robert Morris is the shorthand comeback for U of L players when UK fans are getting mouthy, which is all the time. Love you, UK fans. Hey, Mike. So, anything else to be said? I think we've talked quite a bit.
I hope that this show continues on in the future because I get a lot out of it.
Great. Well,
so how was that?
Better?
Gentlemen, you did much better tonight, and I have to say that statistics are in, and last week's show was up from 6 viewers to 7.
Oh, outstanding.
You have to know that an increase in just a single viewer with a show like this that no one wants to watch because of Brent, that is an accomplishment. So please, Glenn, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
I guess I probably won't be here next week. Something ridiculous will probably happen. I'll be replaced by a squirrel or something. I guess we'll see. All right, well, I think that's all we have time for. Enjoy your NCAA tournament this year, folks. Please check us out on Twitter at Glen and Brent. Please email us, glenandbrent@gmail.com. Check out our YouTube channel, 2 Men, 1 Couch, and our sister program, Bits and Brews with Brent and Brian.
And if you go to our Facebook page, you can buy one of these commemorative items that we've been working on for weeks now.
These are handcrafted.
Yeah, my mom and my aunt helped make this. You can kind of jump it up in the air a little bit. You can do a variety of things with it.
Whatever it does, it could be that image can be assembled by Friday afternoon. So it's going to be pretty amazing.
Right.
Thanks, Danny. All right. Well, that's it for us for another week. Happy March Madness. Go Cards. Go Kroger.
Go Heart Meter.